First, the bill you're referring to is I would propose a good government amendment to the United States Constitution. It would do 4 things. The first thing it would do is require a balanced budget. Each and every year thereafter, and within 5 years, any remaining deficit be removed from the federal books. The second thing it would do is it would set term limits for members of Congress so that they're not career politicians. They can't embed themselves there in Washington. The third thing it would do is make English the official language of the United States and require all voting in the United States to take place in English. The final thing it would do is it would call for campaign finance reform where both corporations and unions would be limiting both the money and manpower that they can put into local races to level the playing field for real for everybody. Look, immigration is a very difficult problem. We're in a city that's perhaps the greatest immigrant pool in the world. I want to see a melting pot. I don't want to see a mosaic. There's a difference. A melting pot means people are coming together and every culture blends in and becomes a part of the American experience. Mosaics remain unique and distinct and don't ever become a part of the whole. And that's the problem with America. We have to acknowledge the reality. We are not going to round up between 3 and 6 million people and deport them tomorrow. But we need to know they're there. We need to give everyone an opportunity to stand up and be registered, to let us know you're here, without fear of immediate deportation. However, if you do not fill out the paperwork, if you do not pay the fines and fees, you will be deported without question, without due process, without any other recompense. You gotta tell us you're here. The second part is, if you come here illegally, you will never be a citizen of the United States. If you pass the security checks, we will make you a resident, but you will never gain citizenship for having violated the law and coming here. Too many immigrants have done it the right way, have stood online waiting, have filled out the paperwork, have paid the fees, and done it the right way.
1 minute.
Finally, we have to acknowledge that things like the DREAM Act are just not in the nation's interest. I don't want to penalize kids who have come here through no fault of their own, but I'm not going to give them an advantage that our own citizens don't get. Our children today do not get scholarships to college. They do not get scholarships to high school. We can't afford to fix that. But what we could do is spend a little bit more money on ESL and other education programs, not just for the youth, but for the adults, to help them become Americans first and foremost. You know, Teddy Roosevelt said this back at the turn of the last century. In America, there is no room to be anything but an American first. And that's something this country is losing and something we desperately need to get back.
Well, with all due respect, Dan, we were actually in an interview yesterday with Newsday when you expressed support for the DREAM Act. I think that's one part of what I believe is comprehensive immigration reform. I believe that students who are here through no fault of their own should have the ability, because America doesn't have the money to deport all of them. I do agree that there's tremendous backlog in the immigration system. There are families and there are people who have come to this country legally, parents who have tried to sponsor their children legally and are waiting online. So they should come first. Whoever's here legally should come first. I agree with Councilman Halloran. We've worked on English language signage issues. We both have those pending in our respective legislative bodies that would require and compel English signage on stores throughout New York City and New York State. I do believe that we need to do more to encourage our families, our American families, regardless if they're immigrants from 10 years ago or 80 years ago, to learn English. My grandmother, when she first came, taught me to learn English by watching Guiding Light.
No, I guess could you just keep, that was your rebuttal, so now I was going to ask you the same thing anyway.
I'm just going to restate it because it's getting a little confusing. Each candidate will get 3 minutes to answer a question and a 1 minute rebuttal. But we have to make clear, you know, even when you ask the second candidate, that they'll let them know that they'll have their 3 minutes. So now you'll ask your question to Assemblywoman Meng.
I guess I was going to ask you about your support of the DREAM Act. So, and also if you could address immigration reform on a more broad level, on a federal level, or generally. If you think there's we need to reform, more broad-based immigration reform aside from the DREAM Act.
So we talked about the DREAM Act, Dr. Dan Chancellor about later. I do agree that we need comprehensive immigration reform. We need to strengthen and protect our borders, and I think that this administration has done that. I also believe, like I mentioned, that there's a tremendous backlog in the immigration system. Like I said, there are people who are here legally, and their applications should be taken care of first. And I'll see the time to
Sorry. Do you support giving immigrants like path to citizenship if they don't have it now?
I would consider it only if it came after the people who have been here legally first. Any rebuttal? 1 minute?
Sure. First of all, Grace, I know we have some similarities and differences on this issue, but I didn't say I support the DREAM Act as it's written. What I said was, if we were not going to give an advantage to immigrant children of illegal immigrants in terms of educational assistance, monetary and financial support, because we don't do that for our own citizens, that I would certainly then take another look at that, because kids who are brought here by people with no fault of their own, even though it's illegal, don't deserve to be punished for the sins of their parents. That being said, as I've always indicated, there should be no path to citizenship to anyone who comes here illegally. Period. The end. You violated the law, and that's the first thing you did when you came here. That's a problem. Second thing is you have to register. You have to let us know you're here. You have to pass the background test, just like every other citizen coming here is. You got to show that you're going to pay your taxes going forward, and we need to hold people accountable. If people are willing to do that, and we've got it to everybody who's lawfully immigrated first, absolutely, we can have that discussion. But we're nowhere near that yet.
Time.